welcome into the JUCO Rush Championship Week. I'm Mike Fraser. He's Robert Williamson down there in South Alabama. Robert, what is going on, my good friend?
Man, you know what's going on, my good friend Mike Fraser up in Chicago, Illinois. It is football semifinals last week. We're about a week and a half or so removed from the championship. Heck, can you think of anything else but JUCO championship?
Two locomotives colliding on December 18th down in Canyon, Texas, my man. I mean, this is just two heavy hitters, two just top-tier programs have been. I mean, you look at Drew Dallas, 49-5 since he's been at Hutch. Talk about a factory, right? You look at it, Scott Strohmeier, another Hall of Famer. Here's a guy going for his third straight national title, fourth appearance in 4 years, a shot at history. It was an epic game, Robert, back on September 7th. That was an epic game, and Hutch came away with the 1-point win. And, oh, man, you know, we were talking to Scott Strohmeier. I said, Scott, you know, when you scored that touchdown, were you planning to go for two the whole time? He said, no, man. He said, somebody called a timeout, and I just said, let's go for it. And he did, you know. So, man, just what these guys have done. I mean, Drew Dallas, consummate professional, just an awesome guy to be around. Scott Strohmeier, terrific person to be around. It really represents the NJCAA really well. Let's show you how they got there as you look at some of the graphics up here. Man, you know, wow. You look at Northwest and Iowa Central. I mean, in Iowa Western, man, Daniel Swinney, look at that, huh? Look at the way he rushed that football. 33 times, well over 200 yards, Robert, couple of touchdowns. Wow. And that guy is the mayor of Council Bluffs.
224 yards, and, you know, that's a running game that we really did not expect because you got the passing game of Deckers. Northwest, though, effectively able to kind of pressure Deckers, not shut him down completely, but obviously impacted the passing game. And what does Iowa Western do? Well, they just hand it off to that kid from Louisville, Kentucky. And Swinney rushes for 224. They've got so many weapons. They are just so dangerous in so many different avenues.
Fresh Walters, 5 grabs for 66 yards, rushed one for a touchdown on a 26-yard scamper on an end around. Their defense bowed up really well. I mean, look, you know how you have a chance to win 3 championships in a row? Every guy steps up. It's not just the quarterback. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. Every week, somebody is a difference maker on either side of the football. You saw that with Iowa Western.
And the other semifinal, wow, an explosive second half for Hutchinson, knocking off Georgia Military College. And there again, you got a back running for better than 200 yards. Does Wayman Jordan have a bad day? I mean, he has not had a bad game this year. Maybe there was a knucklehead play somewhere along the way during the course of this season for Jordan, but he has not had a knucklehead game.
No, he has it. A JUCO Weekly Trophy finalist, along with Hunter Deckers of Iowa Western, along with Will Cornelson of Tyler on the defensive side, Will the linebacker. But look, I mean, when you watch that game, Robert, the effortlessness he ran the football with, just the little cuts, they just look so normal. There was no effort. He glided. You know, he's just such a natural born football player at the running back position. Then you look at Samari Collier. Man, that guy had a great game. Threw for 2 touchdowns, rushed for 2 touchdowns, found Ja'Cory Thomas for a couple big plays. In that first half, Georgia Military, time of possession, 24 minutes to 6. But they were still trailing. And then Iowa Hutchinson made those big plays, you know, 1 play 66 yards, 3 plays 75 yards, and they just cruised to the victory. So, and they are big. Man, Hutch is big. You know, we've known that, but man, when you keep watching, you know, you watch something like that over and over again, you just marvel at how big Hutch is on the defensive side of the ball and going after it.
And, you know, you mentioned Wayman Jordan, how he is just kind of a fluid player. He comes from Escambia High School, which has produced a number of really quality running backs. How about the NFL top rusher of all time came from Escambia, Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
But when I sat down with Drew Dallas, I had a chance to talk to him about that, about Wayman Jordan and that process of getting him from Pensacola, Florida to the Midwest. You interested in that conversation?
Absolutely.
Drew Dallas, head coach of Hutchinson, semifinal winner over Georgia Military College on Sunday, into the championship again. Coach, man, another great year. I look back at your numbers, 5 years, 5 not wins, 5 losses in 5 years. That is an amazing stat. And I want to go back to when you first took over in 2019. It was COVID that followed. You didn't get to play football for about 471 days. In that time frame, were you able to sit back and maybe reevaluate things that made you an even better coach?
Yeah, I think looking back at it in the long run, definitely, helps prepare you for things ahead. And it wasn't easy during that time. There was a lot of plans that you had in place and thoughts that you want to try to accomplish and get going. And then, everything changes in a moment's notice. And so I do think in the long run, it made me a better football coach. And I really think that it's, kind of directed where we're at as a program now, just because our sole focus during that time period was just, winning the day and in the process, and everything that we were doing had our whole attention on the task at hand in the immediate future, because we didn't know, what the future had in store for us. And that's kind of carried over even to our football team today. Everything that we try to do throughout the course of an off season and a season, really tried to, minimize that focus level to just being great at what we're doing, the task at hand, and being 1-0 each and every week and all of those things. And so, I think it's something that when we look back at it and say, hey, that was a really tough moment in time, but really helped shape our program today. A lot of those same core principles that we believe in.
I want to go all the way from Kansas to Pensacola, Florida, and Escambia. And there is a little personal motive involved here. First play-by-play job was at Milton High. Milton played Escambia in their district. And Escambia had this kid named Emmett Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty doggone good player. I'm dating myself, by the way. Trent Richardson followed. And now you got a kid by the name of Wayman Jordan out of Escambia High School in Pensacola. What is it about Escambia, and what is the relationship between Hutch and maybe 1,000 miles away in Pensacola, and bringing such great talent from there to you?
Well, we've had some really good players in the past from Pensacola. I think over the course of the last, 5, 6, 7 years, we've always had some big time playmakers from that high school and in that area, and I think it's kind of word of mouth. Guys come up here from that area, they enjoy their experience, and there's a lot of relationships between those guys. So obviously we have a really good one right now at running back to go along with those other names you mentioned in Wayman Jordan Jr. And, the recruiting process with him was, he was kind of the perfect example of why guys need junior college football, and an opportunity to gather some more exposure, be developed a little bit more. And he's made the most of that opportunity for sure. So the improvements he's made during his time here have been tremendous, but it's because of the hard work that he puts in really each and every day. I mean, he's the ultimate professional. He's a stud as a person. He's a stud on the football field and in the classroom. And, he's worked and earned everything recognition-wise that he's getting and production-wise. But we've had some good ones from there in the past, like I said, and we'll hopefully continue to keep that connection going for sure.
Speaking of good ones, a very good quarterback that may not have the flashy numbers that some of the other QBs in the NJCAA have, but just kind of indicative of how important he is to your program. The long game he set out because of an injury, you lose. So is he, as it would seem, that key component? And we're talking, of course, Samari Collier.
Yeah, Samari's a really special talent, and like you said, his numbers, don't really match what he does on the football field for us. Kind of an interesting fact on that is he's only played in one complete football game this year, against Iowa Central, and, got kind of banged up in the first game that we had against Iowa Western and didn't play in the second half except for one series. And then other times it's just, hey, we've had leads and we haven't needed him, to play past the second half or into the second half or after the third quarter. So, even against GMC the other night, we were able to get Christian Johnson a lot of solid reps there in the fourth. And so I think when you look at his numbers, you got to keep that in mind. He's a kid that, that full game against Iowa Central threw for over 300 yards. And I think he's capable of doing that each and every time we're out there because of his talent. But he definitely makes us go offensively because of what he can do in the passing game, but also, what he presents in the rushing attack to complement Wayman as well. And I think it just makes it hard on defenses to focus on, taking one or, two of those guys away when you got a lot of tools in the backfield that can hurt you running the football, but you also have a kid that can flick it down the field and push it to those receivers we have on the edge as well.
Let's talk about two games. One's been played, the other is going to be played. And of course, that game that's been played, the win over Georgia Military College, man, that was a different second half. It was a one-touchdown ball game going into the locker room at halftime, and then you come out and win it 63-21. What was the difference between the two halves?
Well, I think, we were able to just kind of persevere, really all sorts that are going to come out swinging and throw their best punches at you from the get-go. And I think, our strength of schedule, the quality opponents that we play in this league each and every week, and with the Iowa Conference crossover, allows us to kind of understand what that's like. And so that wasn't, a new feeling for our guys to get kind of punched in the mouth early in that first quarter. And there was a lot of things that we were doing to ourselves with missed tackles and missed assignments and just not being, as sharp as we needed to be in that first quarter, that we were able to kind of crank it up in the second quarter and score 28 and take the lead, and then go into halftime and kind of refocus and come out and execute at a higher level there in the second half. So that was kind of the biggest thing, just settling into it and getting back into the rhythm of football game. But, our guys have been in that position before, like I said, because of just the week-to-week grind that we go through, in the Jayhawk Conference with the Iowa schools included in there as well, that you're going to get everybody's best shot early on, and you got to be able to weather that. And then, once you do, you got to keep your foot on the gas and try to go.
Let me ask about the championship, second meeting of the year between you and Iowa Western. I hear folks talk about how difficult it is to beat one team twice in a year, especially a good team. Any truth to that?
We're not buying into it. I think it's one of those deals where we know Iowa Western's a really good opponent. We know they're a really good football team and they're well coached. But that game was a long time ago, and I think when you look at the course of the season and where both of us are at right now, we're a lot different football teams compared to game two back there at the end of August. And so we know this one's completely separate. I'm sure there's things that we're both going to do or not do based on the film that we're watching. But, it's its own game in itself. It's got its own identity to it. So, we're just going to have to come out and play well and execute. And like I said, I think we've each established different identities throughout the course of the year to where we are right now as football teams, that you can't put a whole lot of stock into that game two of the regular season because of how early on that was.
Coach, no stranger to success, no stranger to championships. Hutch and Iowa Western on the 18th of December. Congratulations on a great year. Thanks for being our guest.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate all you do for junior college football.
Scott, you look at what you've done. First place I want to start is, Daniel Swinney, 223 yards rushing Friday night in the win over Northwest. Was that in the game plan, or did you just try him and you saw the success he had, so you kept feeding it to him?
Well, obviously you come into a game, you're wanting to run the football. You don't know how easy it's going to be. And Northwest is a really good defense, and not a lot of teams did that to him. And then throughout the course, when you start having some success with some things and it's working, you just kind of stick with it. Now, if you'd have told me that he would have had it 33 times, I probably would have disagreed, going into it, but you kind of feed the hot hand.
Yeah, boy, and you did. Swindy ended up with 223 yards, found pay dirt. Your guys really moved it well. Your receivers this year, great problem to have, but still, you guys got to find plays for Titus, Myers, for Fresh Walters, for others. How has that process gone, game planning, to getting these guys the ball to keep them in the zone?
Well, I mean, it's always hard, but like those guys know one game you're going to be the featured guy, and the next game the other guy might be the featured guy, and you need to clear somebody out to help your buddy out. But it starts with Hunter Decker's at quarterback. I mean, he's going to throw it to the open guy. I mean, he's very intelligent, and so it's not so much that we're trying to get one person. Obviously, we have times where we design things for that person that we think's going to get it, but he's going to throw it to the open guy. In some games, it's one guy more than the other.
Well, you talk about Hunter Deckers. Boy, has he not worked out just as you had hoped and planned. What a total stud, superb effort. And, really coming in and playing what I think is the toughest schedule in the country. I know what he's meant to this team. Just talk about hanging around with Hunter and working with him in the film room.
Well, one, you see how talented he is, right? So we all knew that. The other thing, he's so intelligent. I mean, I think he understands the game. We can put a lot. He's probably put as much on him as any quarterback we've ever had, as far as he can check in certain protections. I think the biggest thing is, there's teams that blitz us and they mix up their blitzes, and he knows how to change to what to get himself protected. I think is really the big thing. And obviously his arm talent, but when you have some guys around him, we're protecting him well. I think that's another thing, and allowing him to get back there and make some throws. But I think just his knowledge of the game and how he helps. I mean, not just the quarterbacks, but he's out there with the receivers and telling them, hey, do this or do that, or how to run this route. So I mean, he's extremely intelligent.
Yeah, over 3,400 yards as he heads into the national championship game. I mean, those are impressive numbers, Coach. I mean, you've got to go back. Only one guy in the last 7 years has hit that number of 3,400 yards. So just an absolutely incredible season that Hunter is having, and that's why he's a JUCO Weekly Trophy finalist.
Absolutely, and I think you look back in our last 2 years, our offenses are completely different, and it starts with who our guy at quarterback is. Some years we were just running the quarterback. It was run game and quarterback run, and last year was almost the same thing. And then this year we're throwing it around a little bit more, and I think you got to adapt to your personnel. And obviously we recruited to be able to throw the football a little bit more, and then when you get a quarterback like Hunter, it just adds to it a little bit.
You're in rarefied air here. You're going for a shot at NJCAA history in the national title game. If you win it, it'll be your third straight. This is your fourth straight appearance. Is this wearing on you? I mean, I know success is success, but is it wearing on you? Do you feel pressure, or are you enjoying the moment, being that this is just so rare?
You got to enjoy the moment. I think regardless of if it's been, going for 3 straight or just winning one, it's hard to get here. It is. And you got to enjoy those. And I think some people, maybe that's their expectation now, is that every year you have to. And, but like I said, my staff has done a really good job, and it's a long season. I mean, when we come in after July, the 4th of July for summer school, and the last 4 years we've been playing deep into December. It makes for a long season, but obviously when you're preparing and putting in the time now, it's for a good reason.
Who's the leader on that offensive line in the locker room and out on the field?
Gosh, I mean, Peyton McDonald's a 2-year starter for us. He's the only one who's been a 2-year starter. And so he's got to be kind of the guy that's been around. But I'll tell you what, as a group, those guys all have come together, and any good old line, they're like 5 of the best friends that they do everything together. And this group is like that. They come to work every day. Obviously you don't get a lot of credit up front. Those guys don't, but when they're players, like even yesterday when I announced or when I talked to the team about, they're doing the JUCO weekly trophy at the national championship game. And obviously we have 2 guys that were in the top 5, and our guys were excited, and they know it's not just an individual award, because you need a team to be in this position. So, but the whole group, I mean, like I said, I've been impressed, and I thought they played one of their better games last week against Northwest, and because of the way we ran the football.
Hutchinson is so big. They were just big up front. You faced them. It was an epic game. It was an instant NJCAA classic. What do you learn from that one? I know you can't tip your hand, and you're not going to, but how do you address Drew and the Blue Dragons here next week?
Well, I think it was so long ago. So many things. They've gotten a lot better from when we played them, and I think we've gotten better. I think the thing you like about these games, I respect Drew Dallas and what he's done and how well his team's going to, and the staff, and how they're going to prepare for us, as I do ours, and preparing for them. It's, how much is each team going to change, but it's been so long. In years past, we played them at the end of the season and met them. And when it's that close, it's a little bit different. But, our guys remember, we didn't start very well, and we made a stretch to come back to potentially tie it. And we decided to go for 2 for the win. But, they made some mistakes that I think that they're going to correct, and as did we, so I expect obviously 2 really good teams, that are going to, meet on Wednesday night, or next Wednesday.
Scott, congratulations on your success. Just incredible what you're on the precipice of. And, man, I'm happy for you, happy for the program, and we'll see you down in Texas.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys, and I appreciate all that you guys are doing for junior college football. It's been something we look forward to every week, to listen to the podcast. Once you guys do it, you guys did an unbelievable job.
And then is Scott Strohmeier, head football coach for Iowa Western. Got a shot at history on December 18th, going for his 3rd straight national title, 4th appearance, consecutive years. They played Nimi back in 2021. Robert, 2 rock star coaches, truly does not get any better than those 2 guys right there, Drew Dallas and Scott Strohmeier.
Yeah, as you've already mentioned, 4 straight appearances for Iowa Western, and where Drew Dallas and Hutch is concerned, 5 losses in 5 years.
At JUCO football level, I mean, hey, wow, that is something special, no doubt. What else is special, Robert? We've got the finalists for the JUCO Weekly Trophy. Alphabetical order: Will Cornelison, Hunter Deckers, and Waymon Jordan Jr. Those are the 3. 3 deserving guys. They will all be down in Kenya, Texas at the NJCAA banquet, and the winner of the trophy will be announced on December the 17th. 3 deserving guys, Robert. I thought the committee did a fantastic job again.
Oh, I agree. And, man, how do you decide between the 3? You got the leading tackler in the NJCAA in Cornelison. You've got the leading passer in the NJCAA in Deckers. And you got the leading rusher in the NJCAA in Jordan.
You look at Will Cornelison, right? A conference that was dominated by defense. He stood above. His 126 total tackles, you got to go back to 2019 before somebody had more. Waymon Jordan Jr., his rushing yards, 1,533. That's the most since Anthony Grant of Nimi in 2021, and then Justin Crawford for Northwest in 2015. And keep in mind, from 2014 to 2018, the NJCAA was loaded with quality running backs. I mean, they ran the football. I mean, you had each year 16, 17 guys rushing for over 1,000 yards in that time span. Throwing the football, Hunter Deckers, superb to come in and play arguably the toughest schedule in the country, be able to pilot that offense, get him back to a national championship game. His 3,413 yards, the best in 7 years. Only one guy had more yards at this juncture in the last 7 years. Tells you about what the impact Deckers had and what a quality quarterback he is. So these are 3 deserving guys. These 3 guys are the 3 that should be the finalists for the JUCO Weekly Trophy.
And we will find out when, the night before or the day of?
December the 17th, so the night before the championship game.
So congratulations to all being named finalists, and the award winner happens on the 17th. What a tough decision between these three, and two of the three are competing in the national championship on the day following. And as you know, Meatloaf says 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
It's a great song, Robert. I love that you're a 70s guy. All over it. You took the words right out of my mouth, man.
Championship game, I'm going to pick them. You don't want to, that's good. I do. And I'm going with Strohmeier until he lets me down. So it is Iowa Western, in my book, the winner of the national championship on the 18th. But we'll wait and see.
That's right. Listen, man, I got to walk into the Lions Den on December 17th and stare at two teams. Are you kidding me? I'm going to pick? No, thank you. First of all, I have no idea who's going to win. And number two, if you think I'm going to stand in front of those guys and say, yeah, I picked against you, not going to happen, Robert. Look, I ain't got too many years left, but I certainly don't want them to all end next week either.
That's good thinking, Mike. We want to keep you around as well so that we can keep the JUCO Rush running too. A little selfish motive there as well. Hey, what a great show, great season it's been. It's not wrapping up for us. We'll be talking again next week. But, of course, the national championship on the 18th, big game, Iowa Western and Hutch. And you mentioned you don't know. Hey, I don't either. But I'm going with Iowa Western just because Strohmeier's been, he's been, buttering my bread as far as the picking goes over the course of the last, 12 or 14 weeks. So I'm sticking with the Reavers.
Look, I wouldn't bet against Strohmeier. I would not bet against Drew Dallas. No way. Special thanks to Pepsi. Great folks at Pepsi down there. Allen Beverages down there in Gulfport. Proud supporters of the JUCO Rush. They understand community college football, both from an athletic standpoint and from an academic standpoint. And they are great partners with us here at the JUCO Rush. He's Robert Williamson. I'm Mike Frazier. So long, everybody.